What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 22 of Procedurally Generated. Today is April 13th, 2021. John, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Chris?
I'm doing well.
Good.
As I just mentioned, co-host.
It's Tuesday.
John Carson is here.
Snowing kind of today.
Yeah.
Just kind of gross, but it must be April in Minnesota.
True. We should be thanking our lucky stars that it's not the kind that's sticking. We're not getting multiple inches. It's
tiny flurries. It's just
but that's Minnesota.
A show of strength from the weather.
Was it last week that it was 80? Week and a half ago?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah.
So we've had some 80-degree days, and now we're back into the snow, and that's just how it is here. So, other than that, John, how's your week? How you been?
It's been good. It's been filled with a lot of wrestling. It's one of my favorite times of the year. WrestleMania week just happened. So, unfortunately, I didn't really play much in the last week. Maybe a little bit of Monster Hunter, but it's been mostly watching wrestling every single night for the last 7 days. Yeah, actually.
Has it actually been some sort of wrestling program on every night for 7 days?
Yeah, it's Wednesday and Thursday last week were NXT pay-per-views, which is another WWE company. Friday was SmackDown. Saturday was WrestleMania. Sunday was night 2 of WrestleMania. Last night was Raw. So I guess that's 6 nights.
So much. So you said the first two things. The first two NXT things were both pay-per-view. There were two pay-per-view events in one night?
Was on its like normal time slot on USA, but the second one was on Peacock, which is where the WWE network now resides. So
gotcha.
Yeah. They're trying to push that whole partnership, and it's been a weird transition. They were, I feel like a month ago, that's when they first when WWE did their first pay-per-view on Peacock, and like transitioning all the stuff from like the WWE network to Peacock isn't like fully featured on Peacock. You don't have like the live TV rewind stuff, so you couldn't like start the pay-per-view from the beginning. If you got there late, you'd have to like watch it from where it was, or just like watch a replay afterwards. Like there's no actual, hey, I want to see what happened like 10 seconds ago, like rewind it a bit. So like they're definitely missing some features. Now they're actually saying that's going to be hopefully in there by the time SummerSlam happens in August, which is like the next super big pay-per-view, but like they do events every month. So they should probably get on fixing that. I don't know what other like sports content that they have on there. If they do any hockey or baseball or any other live events.
Yeah, I don't know. The only thing I can think of is if it's Peacock, that's NBC.
It's NBC Universal. Yep.
So, and I don't know if NBC still has the rights to hockey games, but I know NBC Sports used to show hockey games a couple of years ago. I don't know if that's still the case or not.
From what I heard, they were actually okay. So this relates to wrestling too. Tonight is the first night that NXT is moving from Wednesdays to Tuesdays, and the reason for that was originally that NBC Universal was bidding for like Tuesday night or for Wednesday night hockey, which I think they lost the bid for, but like they still moved NXT to Tuesdays for whatever reason. So
do we need to talk about changing our recording night then?
No.
Are you sure?
No. Yeah,
I don't want to take you from NXT.
No, that's fine.
Okay. All right.
So Wednesdays was usually NXT and AEW. I was usually watching AEW on Wednesdays anyways, so I'll watch NXT whenever.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So
that works.
No, we're
after
there is literally wrestling on every night now. Like Monday through Friday for like normal shows. So
what is there? Do you know what ROH is?
Yeah, Ring of Honor.
Okay. That's another wrestling thing?
It is another wrestling company. Yep. They're smaller. I think they're based out of like Chicago or something. I
keep seeing ads for them on
like WGN
something. I have Hulu, so maybe they must be Hulu ads. I don't know.
They might be on Hulu. So
okay.
I don't know. They're part of the Sinclair Broadcasting Company.
Okay.
They're owned by them. So
I know I've seen them especially a lot the last week. I was like, I gotta ask John what his ROH thing is. So.
Yeah. It's another company. A lot of the bigger names today kind of like filtered through ROH years ago. So yeah,
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So after what's yesterday, the last day of WrestleMania?
Yeah,
no,
technically.
Okay. So now you're back to your normal
like
wrestling schedule.
Yeah. Like the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania is always supposed to be like a big deal, like either people coming back or new people joining the company. Last night was just kind of a snoozer. There was like one person who actually returned after like 6 or 7 months, and it wasn't like that big of a deal. And then another person who's been gone for like maybe a month, and they've just like kept her off of TV for a little bit, but like it wasn't the big spectacle that it usually is. So
okay.
I will say that over the weekend, since WrestleMania was at Raymond James Stadium, the place where the Super Bowl was this year, they actually had a crowd of about 25,000 people in the stadium.
Okay.
Which is, I mean, not ideal. People were spaced out a bit. Also, it was outdoors, which helps as well. But at some point, you just kind of have to shrug and just go, it's Florida, I guess. Like, they just do whatever they want there.
Well, don't get me started on Texas Stadium for baseball. That was a debacle and a half. So, but hey, what can we do to do anything about that?
Yeah.
So
I will say it was cool to see fans, like that many fans in the stands again, to bring a little bit of life to
that's just it. So. It's I can't wait until the day comes where we can comfortably fill out a stadium. You know, watching the like March Madness this year and watching Jalen Suggs hit the game winner at the buzzer. Like Minnesota boy, so obviously it's very exciting. But he did it for Gonzaga, and it didn't hit the same. You know, one of my favorite things on watching playoff baseball, watching those big college sporting events, the March Madness and stuff like that, is just hearing that pop when something crazy happens, where everybody's into the game. It means so much, and it just is a petty thing in comparison to what we have going on. Yeah. But it's still, I cannot wait for that to return.
And for something like pro wrestling, there's a lot of like, there's good guys, there's bad guys. So good guys get cheered, bad guys get booed. That's kind of been missing. Like at least for WWE, they've been like piping in crowd noise. I think it's actually sounds that were recorded for like the WWE 2K games that they've been using, because people could like pinpoint the chants that are in the sound file and stuff. But it was cool to see like how real people are actually reacting to these characters after a year of not having people there to actually react, to like boo the heels and cheer the baby faces, or a lot of fans, hey, if they don't like the baby face, they'll boo them. So like there was some of that happening, and it was cool to see where the I guess the super fans mindsets were at. I'm guessing the only people who were going there were going to be people who A, had the money, and B, really wanted to be there. So
all right, well, that's cool, that's exciting. So but you didn't have a lot of time for games. You said you played little Monster Hunter Rise.
Little Monster Hunter, and I watched people play the Diablo 2 alpha. That's about it. Really want to get my hands on that. Looks beautiful. Looks really cool. The alpha had like the graphics switching built into it already.
I saw Dan Tack playing that.
Yeah, all of it's like built over the original Diablo 2 game, even though like the new game runs at a higher frame rate and has like smoother animations. All of like the calculations and all of the like base parts of the animations are still based in that original code. So you can kind of like switch back and forth between like a 800 by 600 image or like 1080p or 4K or whatever you're playing it at. But they also added like controller support, which the original didn't have before.
That's
everything just looks super, super nice. And seemed to be working really well for an alpha. So I'm a big fan of what Vicarious Visions did with Tony Hawk last year. I'm a pretty vocal advocate for that game. It's probably my game of the year last year. And I'm very happy with the results so far with the Diablo 2 remaster. Even though I haven't had my hands on it yet, just like even seeing it and see people playing it and switching the graphics back and forth, it looks really, really cool.
Do we have a release window for that yet?
This year?
It is this year? Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Gotcha.
I'm guessing like August, September or something, but
okay.
I don't think we have a date yet.
Bring it on.
Yeah.
This will be my first time playing Diablo 2.
Oh, really?
Yep. I've never played Diablo or Diablo 2. I played Diablo 3 a lot with Kate.
Yeah. It's a different game.
Yeah.
Have you played like Path of Exile?
Yes.
It's closer to that.
Okay. We'll see. I for some reason I enjoyed Path of Exile. I fell off of. I don't know if I was.
I could never get into it. I downloaded it again last week. I think it was the day that the alpha went live for Diablo 2, but like they had a big event showing off like Path of Exile 2 and their new expansion that comes out like this week.
Okay.
PoE 2 looks really nice. Nice graphical upgrade. Apparently it's supposed to be running in like the same client as Path of Exile 1. Excuse me. And you could bring over like your characters to do like the same end game as Path of Exile 2. I don't really know the logistics behind that. I don't think players really know the logistics behind that, but apparently PoE 2 characters and PoE 1 characters are going to be like separate somehow, but like can still participate in the same end game content.
Interesting.
For PoE 2. Yeah.
Also free to play for PoE 2?
As far as I know. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I mean that's worth checking out when it comes out. I should really give Path of Exile like a dedicated chance.
I really want to as well. Just takes a while. It's like the beginning of those action RPG like loot grinds is always super slow. And like learning the systems, and I'm so used to Diablo 2, Diablo 3 that like getting into Path of Exile is I kind of hit a wall. So
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Chris, well, and that's all you've kind of got going on then?
That's really it. Yeah. How about you? How's your week then?
Week's been good. Week has been good. We're still playing Persona 5, which should surprise nobody. There will be a week where I stop saying that. This is not that week.
I thought it was that week.
Well, I beat the main story of Persona 5.
Okay.
And we rolled directly into the royal content because it is basically a seamless transition.
Okay.
So we still have probably 20 to 30 hours of gameplay left.
Wow.
For the stuff that's been added to royal. We've made some progress and it's cool. So far it's very interesting. There's a very strange twist to the royal stuff that I didn't see coming.
Cool.
And I'm excited to see more, but for the immediate future, at least the rest of this week, I'm assuming maybe all of next week. I don't know anymore.
Maybe
I'm
by
going to
May.
stop. Yeah, I'm going to stop guessing.
By the time Shin Megami Tensei 3? Is that
the Nocturne remaster? Yeah.
It's like May 25th.
Could be. Yeah, it's tough to say. I think we'll be done hopefully by the end of next week. I don't know. I should really stop saying that because I'm never ready.
Yeah, just take your time. I mean, people seem to be enjoying it. You seem to be enjoying it.
I am. It's been fun. So we'll go until it's done.
Mm-hmm.
But we did have a chance to play a couple other games this week. We played Stella. So it's spelled Stela. I didn't write down the developer.
Is that a platformer or a
Stella is
person?
It's a third person side scroll. It's very reminiscent of Inside.
Oh, sure.
Limbo.
Okay. Yep.
Very stylistically similar. And pretty well done, I would say. I beat it in one sitting, knowing that I play morning games, break for lunch, play an afternoon game. I beat it in the morning. So it was about 2.5 hours. Pretty short game, but I thought it was pretty well done. I liked the way it was kind of presented. I think they tried to go for a little bit grander scale in terms of the situations and the environments and things like that you're in, as opposed to like an Inside. but again, I think I would have loved to have another 2 hours of this game to just kind of keep going. It was just when I felt like I was really getting going and really getting into it, it was over. But it was cool. You were put in some unique situations, a little puzzly, just like you're inside in your limbos, where it's nothing too complex. Figure out how to cross this chasm. Figure out how to move this this mechanism to open a way forward. Some of that. The music was really good. I really enjoyed that.
That helps.
But yeah, I got it for $20, and normally I'm not one to say, that's too much or that's, not enough for a game. In this instance, because of the length, I wasn't disappointed with the actual gameplay, but I just wish there was more. So I don't know, maybe one of those things you wait for a sale on, if you're interested in inside like games or limbo likes. I don't know what to call those anymore. Is it Playdead? Is that who does this?
I think it's Playdead.
Yeah. Playdead likes. And then we beat Cuphead today. We spent 3 streams. Yeah, we spent 3 streams playing Cuphead. Wrapped it up at the end of the stream today. We didn't go for S ranks. We didn't do any of that stuff. It was, as far as I'm concerned, I went into it like, if I roll credits, I'm finally a gamer.
Yep.
And we did
welcome.
It, so yeah,
I've never rolled credits in that game.
Yeah, so. it's a toughie. The end. The end was the last fight was tough. I actually felt like I made pretty good progress through. I don't think I spent more than an hour on any single stage, and some of them maybe 10-15 minutes. So, but it was fun. It's a good game. It's another one of those games that I don't typically like to bang my head against a wall, but if I do it if I play a game that is well made, something that makes me feel like, if I do fail, I'm failing because of something on my end. It's not because of a mechanic issue or anything like that.
Or you're learning something each time.
I kind of had the same feeling that I had with Celeste, where everything was so tight, everything was so good. If I screwed up, it was on me. And that doesn't suck as much as my jump button isn't doing the thing I needed to do when I needed to do it.
Yeah.
But so despite, what can be a very frustrating game, the way it's put together and just how good it is made it just made it easier to kind of stay the course and work through. So, and again, a lot of new people in the community that popped in and enjoyed watching and giving some tips and things to make it a little bit easier. So that was basically what we've played since we last spoke. I don't know what I'm going to do for tomorrow morning's stream yet with Cuphead being done, but on Thursday, we're going to start up Saga Frontier Remastered.
Nice.
Which I'm very excited about. Saga Frontier for the PS1 was probably one of my top 5 favorite PlayStation 1 games. I liked it so much, and I didn't find out until later that it's not a good game. So hear that they were doing the remaster was surprising, and it was like it was made specifically for me. So looking forward to that.
You should
also haven't touched it in like 20 years. So
just download Outriders and play that tomorrow. It's free.
It's not a bad idea. It's actually downloaded on the Xbox. So
make a randomized list of Outriders and let's see here, Gnome's Garden 3. I'm just going to go through my list of games that I've purchased recently.
Just dedicated to procedurally generated games.
Northland.
The ones that I've downloaded. That's actually not a bad idea. The other thing, I thought about doing a full morning of Forza Horizon 4.
Oh, yeah.
Doing the Battle Royale. So, I don't know. We'll
I logged into Final Fantasy 14 today.
Nice.
Because there's a new patch that came out. It's like the last big patch before the new expansion later this year.
Mm-hmm.
But they added, today's the first day of the PS5 beta.
Yep.
So you can play that with graphical updates on PlayStation 5. But with that, for the PC version, they added 4K UI assets. So the menus look all clean in above 1080p resolution. So logged in, check that out. It looks really nice.
Nice.
Nothing else has changed. They added more end game content, but I am hundreds of hours from that content. So
just getting to the end game is intimidating enough.
Yeah.
So, well, cool.
Yeah.
Well, reminder for you guys that have checked out the show in the past, or if this is your first time here, if you guys have enjoyed what you've heard so far, then by all means, pop into Apple Podcasts, leave us a 5-star review. If you're not sure yet, I'll remind you at the end of the show, after you listen to this, to go do the same thing. So that would it means the world to us. Find some new listeners, get some new people in to listen to the show. So there are other ways that you can reach out and participate as well. We have our Patreon, patreon.com/procedurally generated. We will be posting our community vote games, which we did not do last month due to some schedule conflicts and things like that. Yeah. But we will do it. We'll do it this month. We'll have those posted, if not by the end of the day today, sometime tomorrow. But you guys are going to have the ability to vote on the third game covered in the last episode of the month. So I'll figure out what that date is specifically.
That'll be recorded on the 27th, released on the 29th on
there we
podcast apps. So
perfect.
Patreon gets it on the 28th.
There you go.
By the way, this last month, I've just been making the episodes available to all patrons, any paying patron members, early whenever I put it up on Patreon. And I think just making it available to everybody through Patreon the day that the podcast goes live everywhere else. So just a quick note about that. If you are throwing any money our way on Patreon, you do get the show a day or so early.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You can also reach out to us on our Twitter. Our Twitter is at PG_show. And then we have an email, pgshowinbox@gmail.com. We have our Discord linked below. And then we also have our YouTube linked below as well. All of our episodes are up on YouTube. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Smash the like button.
Smash it.
Yeah. Do that. Do the thing that you do on the YouTube.
Ring that bell.
Anything I missed, John? Anything we should go over before we start up on game number 1?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
That's it.
I'm going to give you the honor of introducing our biggest game of the week. So I'm going to take the first one. See what I did there? Yes, a little misdirection. Not to take anything away from this game, but you guys, this week...
I guess the question is, who knows a character related to this game more than...
That's a good point.
The franchise of the second game this week.
This first game does have the characters to stand up on. That's
sure does.
Yeah. But no, this week and next week, you guys, we have some bangers. And I am excited to get into them both. We'll start now, but oh man, it got me thinking about next week's show already.
I forgot about next week. I'm gonna look it up right now.
Oh man,
we're gonna get a live reaction.
I kind of want to watch your face just to see the eyes widen. But while you're looking at that,
yeah,
yeah. All right.
Yeah, that PSP game. That's the one.
Love it to death.
Next week is a Chris week.
Absolutely.
in a great way.
Yeah, it is. I'm very excited. But anyways, we're not there yet. Nope. Let's talk about this first game developed by Rare, published by Nintendo. We're looking at an action racing game released in 1999 for the Game Boy Color. Not a game that I am familiar with.
And also not necessarily related to another racing game that they did a couple years earlier. It's very odd.
We're looking at Mickey's Racing Adventure.
We sure are. It's so Mickey's Racing Adventure shares actually some DNA with an older Rare racing game. The actual racing that takes place in this game, it's a lot like RC Pro-Am, which is a NES era Rare racing game. I don't think anybody actually worked on it from the original, from RC Pro-Am, but Chris Stamper and Tim Stamper, who I believe were the ones who actually made that game, are thanked in the credits here. But I don't see them in the actual list of people who worked on this game.
RC Pro-Am you mentioned, and then I also, if you guys, I have a sweet spot for a certain isometric racing game from not that area, a little bit later, but from the SNES called Rock and Roll Racing.
Sure, yeah.
It shares nothing of this, but every time I think of this kind of game, that's the first game that I think of That game was fantastic. By Blizzard.
Is that Blizzard? Okay, that is
yeah,
Blizzard.
it is. Yep.
Which reminds me, they actually just added a couple more games to that Blizzard collection. Do you remember?
Oh yeah.
Like a couple months ago, they released one with like Blackthorn, I think Rock and Roll Racing.
Maybe I don't know what you're talking about. I thought
Lost Vikings. But they added like Lost Vikings 2 to it today. And something else.
I forgot that there was a second one of those.
Anyways.
Yeah. So in Mickey's racing adventure, we here's the setup for you. Here's why you're racing. So Pete and his friends have stolen all the floats and decorations for the big carnival. The only way to get them back is to challenge them to a race. Obviously, there's no other way. Gameplay is made up of isometric racing challenges in the various worlds that you can visit. Mickey and his friends can earn money to upgrade their vehicles and track down train tokens to go to new areas. So when you get to a new area, you have to solve a puzzle, and it's the puzzle reminded me of the BioShock hacking minigame.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like the pipe dream.
Yeah. You got to kind
sort
of,
of thing.
I suppose, yeah, the minigame based off of an actual game that I probably should have referenced. But the goal is you've got a train moving along a track. You have a bunch of tiles. You're moving those tiles around to try to get the train to the end before running into TNT, running into a dead end. And if you do that successfully, then you've unlocked the next world and you can move on with the story.
And I feel like the tough part about that puzzle is you can't actually remove pieces from it. It's a slide puzzle, so there's only one piece that's actually missing.
Yeah.
So you're shifting squares as you move around the board and try to get that train to different places on the board.
Yeah. The other difference I noticed is you may have to move pieces multiple times. So like, if you do the reference the BioShock one, you've got a liquid in there. If you can't break that once the liquid's gone through. Here, if the train is passed, you can move tiles from behind it. So I actually watched a couple minutes of gameplay of this, and I saw one of these, and I mean, it took a long time because the dude was trying to like move things around, get to the right spot, but then he had to like finagle things around like while the train was moving, get it because you couldn't find it on the there isn't a set path to get yourself.
Yeah, it's not a solution. It's just get it there.
Yeah,
which I think is really cool. Like it keeps you active the whole time.
Yeah.
And you can control the speed of the train too. So if you want to speed it up a bit, you can change that.
Oh, I did not know that. That would be useful.
There's a little speed meter on there. I don't know how you actually change it. It's probably like up or down or something, or start select. Who knows?
Okay.
But
and then there was also an additional mode where you can play as Pluto. There's actually no racing involved in this, but it's kind of a not a scavenger hunt, but you sniff around as Pluto to try to find different. I think it's maybe car upgrades, secrets, things to that effect. But the racing itself is yes reminiscent of RC Pro-Am or Rock and Roll Racing
or Micro Machines.
Micro Machines. That's the one I was thinking of. I was getting it crossed up with Hot Wheels, which is like straight top down racing, but Micro Machines has
also, sorry to divert real quick. Did you watch that Hot Wheels trailer from Milestone, the folks that made the
I did. I saw it's kind of the alpha gameplay trailer.
Yeah.
It looks good. So some of the I'm gonna let that one simmer for a while.
Sure. It's not out yet, but
no.
I think the cars look cool. I like that there's a bunch of different cars that they're doing, and I like that it's actually on like Hot Wheels tracks. It's not just like a normal racing game. It's like you are actually going through a course in like someone's living room or whatever.
Yeah,
it's a neat look to it. So.
It has to live up at least to the Forza expansion that has Hot Wheels.
I mean,
thrown in there.
The only difference is you have Forza as the base as opposed to
true. Yeah,
whatever this might be.
But the game itself took actually I don't know, maybe this is common for Game Boy or Game Boy Color games. It took 6 months to develop, which is, I mean, it's unprecedented these days. Yeah. But I don't know how. I don't know if does that sound really quick to you back in
it does.
Was this 1999?
Yeah, it still does to me. But I wonder if, since they have had, like as a studio, they've had a lot of history with racing games, with RC Pro-Am, with Diddy Kong Racing that happened before this, and and just having that technical know-how already. I think they figured out a lot of the tricks of the Game Boy Color with their previous game. This is their second game on the console. The first one was Conker's Pocket Adventure or something.
Yeah,
correct. Which was not received well, but like a lot of the visuals of like you are actually doing stuff between the races. Like you're walking around as whoever your character is, whether it's Mickey, Minnie, Goofy. Yes, Chris, you have something to say?
Conker's Pocket Tails is what it is.
Pocket Tails.
I just wanted to make sure.
Got it.
Also, I wanted to raise my hand because I've never done it before.
And I have lowered it for you. But yeah, like there is like an overworld, and you are walking around as those different characters. And it seems like those characters, they look like they're 3D models, which is very interesting. I don't know if they're 3D or if they're very elaborate 2D sprites, but it looks like they have like more than the typical like 12 frames of animation.
They looked. I mean, they looked pretty good. I guess the one that I got fixated on was the Pluto one, and that one didn't look very good. But that was also
awesome.
There's also a different perspective and things like that. That was more like from the side.
That was so when you play as Pluto, you're actually playing in a mini game where like you're digging for bones to I think unlock the final level of the game. I don't know. Otherwise, like in the overworld, you're walking around as whatever racer that you've unlocked at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So as you go, you start off as Mickey, and then you unlock other friends in that world. Let's see here. There's, like I said before, Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Daisy, and Goofy. So I think Goofy's probably the last person that you unlock. The speed run that I watched played as everyone. I don't know if they have different. I don't think they have different like stats or anything. The stats are mainly in your vehicles that you upgrade. You find currency. You, I'm guessing you win currency from races as well. And you can upgrade both your car. And did you mention that you also have a boat that you race as?
Well, that's what I assumed. You had a vehicle specific to the world that you were in, kind of like Micro Machines, where.
So this is more like Mario Kart 8, where it changes depending on what part of the course that you're in.
Okay.
So you'll actually or like was it? I want to say not Manhunt. What was the racing? It's definitely not Manhunt. What was the like racing car combat game?
Spy Hunter.
It's like Spy Hunter. Where you start off as a car and then you go into a boat, or vice versa, depending on like if there's water or land, and it'll just automatically change throughout the course.
I just really like the idea of comparing this Disney game for children to Manhunt.
Oh yeah, to Manhunt. Well, I mean, we are dealing with Rare here. They made Conker's Bad Fur Day like 2 days.
That's true. That's true.
2 years later. So 2 days later.
Speaking of Rare, this game, which I think this is a tragedy now that I know a little bit more about it. This game was not featured on Rare Replay when it came out recently.
No. Well, so this game was published. Well, I mean, most things were published by Nintendo at the time, but I mean, you also need to get the Disney license, which is probably very, very hard to do.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't even consider that.
And that's even like Diddy Kong Racing. The only character that's in there that's a Nintendo character is Diddy Kong. Like everyone else is a Rare creation. So I wonder if they could just take Diddy out or just license Diddy and just put it on like Xbox or something for Diddy Kong Racing. Not this.
Yeah.
don't
just give him a different skin. Make him a, I don't know, Master Chief.
Yeah.
Fit right in.
Master Chief Racing.
Yep.
Man, watching some Diddy Kong today. That game felt like Mario 64. Like,
yeah,
like getting into the world and driving around and like it having a hub world and you being able to like go around in like a hoverboat, a plane, or a cart and exploring that place. It was awesome. Being able to take the tracks with like different vehicles really changed up the gameplay and like added to replayability. I know we're supposed to be talking about Mickey's racing adventure, but
there's connections there. I mean, there's some crossover there.
Diddy Kong Racing's pretty rad. And I miss it.
He tweeted about it. He misses it so much.
I did, yeah.
So, what do you have? I mean, the game upon release was actually pretty well received. I have an especially difficult time taking Game Boy Color games, Game Boy Advance games, and understanding their significance at the time. So I found a couple of reviews. One was from Craig Harris at IGN. He specifically called it Rare's first real quality Game Boy Color game after the atrocious Conker's Pocket Tales.
Yeah.
So, you know, you'd mentioned they maybe learned from Conker and got better at programming for the Game Boy Color and knocked it out of the park with this one. GameSpot applauded the number of tracks and characters to choose from and said how...
That's a lot of tracks.
Yeah, said this is how Game Boy races should be done. So kind of, in that regard, this for GameSpot, kind of the opinion that this game kind of set the standard for racing games on the Game Boy Color. So, and there were a couple other reviews glowing, very positive. So this was a really well-received game. Do you have anything else specifically about the game or the gameplay?
Not really. I like that they took a little bit of a Mario Golf Game Boy approach where like there is a little bit more between racing. It's not just like selecting the courses and racing through them. There are little goals in between, like the train rides and playing as Pluto to dig up some bones to distract a dog so you can get to the final boss. Like all that stuff I think is really, really neat. And would break up the gameplay a little bit. And it lets you play as these Disney characters a little bit longer than just like racing as them in whatever the kart mode is.
Right.
So yeah, it looks nice. It looks like it plays nice. They're not trying to squeeze like a full Mario Kart simulator onto the Game Boy Color, which I appreciate. They worked within the limitations that they had, but also they're doing things graphically that I think are pushing the system a bit. Like the carts look like they're 3D models. When you're walking around the world, it looks like Mickey's a 3D model. Whether they are or not, I don't know. But like that, the transition between like all the different animations look very smooth, and look ahead of their time. Guess it was 1999. Like they were a year or two before like the Game Boy Advance, and Rare is always known for like pushing graphical stuff for years and years. So it's kind of no surprise that they would do that here. It's kind of nice that they didn't just like phone it in for a licensed game.
Yeah. And that's, again, like I said, like Game Boy Color games, hard to gauge. I mean, it's just been, I've been trained to hear licensed game then, and especially from this era, and just think, okay, whatever it might be, it's probably worse than that. Yeah. But it doesn't seem like that's the case here. It seems like this is kind of it stands out, like I said, set the standard for this kind of game on the entire console handheld. So I do have a little bit about Rare, if you want to move on to development stuff.
Sure.
So Rare is a big deal. It's definitely a company that we should spend some.
We haven't been able to cover them yet, so this was kind of a surprise for us this week.
Right.
Like, this is actually a Rare game?
It took me, and I wrote down Rare. What did I write down? I wrote down Rare Limited, and didn't connect the dots that meant Rare that we know and love.
Yeah, Rare.
Yeah.
Microsoft Rare.
So once I got through a little bit of the research and, looked at the studio and was like, oh, this is that Rare. I was like, well, this is a perfect time to dig in and talk a little bit about Rare. So formed in 1983 by Tim and Chris Stamper, which John brought up earlier.
Yes.
They just kind of hitting on some big notes from their history. They developed a new software tech, which was used in Donkey Kong Country. I think it was called I had the name written down. I must have removed it. Darn it. I don't know if you want to look up the name of that engine or that tech that they came up with, but it created that very unique art style that you see in Donkey Kong Country. It's almost like a claymation almost type.
It's
look.
really cool.
It is.
I liked it a lot.
I still think Donkey Kong Country is one of the best looking games released on the Super Nintendo. I mean, it just looks fantastic. So, Rare has the honor of being the first non-Japanese partner of Nintendo. And that happened when Nintendo bought 25%, a 25% share of their company in 1995. So Nintendo enjoyed working with Rare, loved the product that they made. That relationship held until 2002 when Microsoft bought out Rare, which then ended their relationship with Nintendo. And in 2007, Chris and Tim Stamper left the company. Now, before we go on with more modern Rare, do you have the name of that tech, by the way?
No, actually.
No? Okay.
It's just that they were one of the first people to use pre-rendered 3D graphics.
Okay.
But I'm not seeing actually a name for it here.
Okay. And maybe it was just a name that whatever article I was reading coined for it or something. Maybe they didn't have an official name, but some of the games that have been credited to Rare, games that they've created. One that I spent a lot of time playing when I was really young, Wizards and Warriors. It's just one of the games for the NES that I just happened to have. I had no idea it was a Rare game until I was researching for this. So we talked about RC Pro-Am in 1988. 1991 Battletoads. That's a big one. 1994, we talked about Donkey Kong Country. 1994 Killer Instinct. Also utilized that tech that Donkey Kong Country had. 1997 GoldenEye 007 multiplayer masterpiece. 2000 Perfect Dark. 2006 Viva Pinata. I only put that on the list because it's one of my wife's favorite games.
No Donkey Kong 64. Come on, Chris.
Nope. We were blowing right past that one. and then actually there's a pretty large lull between games between 2006 and 2018 because Rare was working on some other things for Microsoft. But in 2018
they brought out like Cameo the same day as Perfect Dark Zero. So like they busted out 2 games at once at launch.
Yeah. In 2018 they were also responsible for the release of Sea of Thieves. So and that game is still uber popular.
And their next game is Everwild.
Yes, and I can't wait. I think that game looks amazing.
No idea what it is. I just know you're like a druid or something.
Yeah, the more I see about that game, the more I'm like, I'm in. So they also co-developed and recently released the new Battletoads game. They're not solely credited with it, but that game is out now and on Game Pass if you want to try that. So Rare has had quite the history. They are still functioning, obviously still working on Everwild, still doing their thing. They've been in the industry for a very long time. We mentioned Rare Replay. If you want to get a really good look at the games that Rare has released, excluding Mickey's Racing Adventure, if you want to get a good look at a lot of the other stuff, you should check out Rare Replay. Banjo-Kazooie games are on there, which I actually blew right past Banjo-Kazooie. That stuff, I should have called those
Nuts
up.
and Bolts was in there.
So
Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, DKR, Donkey Kong or Diddy Kong Racing.
Oh yeah,
don't know if you mentioned that.
I did not.
I think they made a ton of games.
Yeah,
Jet Force Gemini,
very very good games too.
Now I will say that this game did have 2 sequels by Rare, both for the N64 and for the Game Boy Color. It is Mickey's Speedway USA. Which is pretty much the same characters, but and the same style of racing, but racing across the United States. It's weird that there's an N64 version of this. Kind of looks a little bit like Diddy Kong Racing. Might be the same engine, but I wasn't seeing anything like weird with like boats or planes or anything. I was kind of hoping that was like a pseudo sequel that I never noticed growing up, but it doesn't seem like it. It is a 3D kart racer though on N64, and then on Game Boy Color, it's almost the same game as this. So
perfect,
same style, I should say, not exactly the same game.
And I did find a couple of versions on sale. You could find $20 on Amazon or $6.95 on eBay. So
sure, if
you got a Game Boy Color sitting around, this is a game you want to try out. Which
it does have Game Boy camera features too.
Ooh.
So if you have a Game Boy camera, I know it's kind of a trendy thing for people to do with their Game Boys these days. Let's use the Game Boy camera. Weirdly enough, I see a lot of people posting like Game Boy camera pictures of things. So I say that a little bit tongue in cheek, but also I'm a little bit serious. That is kind of a trendy thing that people have been doing.
And John also is currently looking for a Game Boy camera. So if anybody
like to find
knows,
a Game Boy camera and a printer, so I can make those little stickers. Mm-hmm.
Nice. Well, there you go. There's Mickey's Racing Adventure. Do you have anything else to share on that, John?
Nope.
All right. Let's say we take our first break.
Sure.
Before we get into a banger.
Yeah, it's going to be a big one. Cool. Well, I'll see you guys in a few minutes.
Welcome back.
Rolling start.
Is that Sega
yeah,
Daytona USA?
It has Daytona, yeah.
Yeah. I want to fly sky high.
There you go.
God, I love that song.
Everyone has Daytona USA in their blood.
Hell yes.
One of the songs is in there.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Man. There's a couple of just amazing songs from that game.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Daytona.
Well. Oh man, Sky High. I'm gonna have to listen to that when we're done. Good break, John. Right?
Yeah.
What'd you get up
really
to?
Good. No, I got some water.
Yeah.
That's about it. It
awesome.
wasn't
Perfect.
Not super exciting. We talked about potential other projects with
we
each
did.
other.
Yeah, that was fun. I'm excited. Yeah. But I'm proud of you for staving off dehydration.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. All that coffee is just
that's right.
I need to calm it down with some water.
Mm-hmm.
It is 7:30 after all. So
it is. The fact that you have coffee at 7:30 p.m. I have caffeine after noon. I'm like, I can't
I'm
sleep.
just like always tired. I'm never active, so I don't have like the natural alertness.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I feel like I need that extra boost when we record. It's been a whole day. Like
it has
whole
been
day
a whole
of work
day.
Before.
Like let's just
before these things
take a step back and realize that it has been a whole day.
An entire day has passed.
Yeah.
Not since we started recording this. I just mean in general.
Right. Since you woke up, an entire day has passed.
It has been at least 10 hours since I woke up.
That's too much time for a human to just function.
Mm-hmm. I've had 3 cups of coffee today.
So. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Well, John, I told you I was going to have you do the honors.
Yeah.
And I meant it.
Oh, no.
Why don't you?
Oh, no.
Do us proud. Introduce this next game.
All right. So this next game is maybe currently the biggest franchise in the world. Maybe outside of Minecraft.
That sounds right.
Yeah. So the series started off with humble beginnings on the. I didn't know the DOS version was the original version of this game.
Also,
it started off on DOS, was later ported to PlayStation and Windows and Game Boy Color, released in 1997 by DMA Design Limited, better known now as Rockstar North. This is Grand Theft Auto, Chris.
Holy smokes.
The original GTA.
I mean, the OG.
It is the OG. It's the innovator. It's a heck of a game in its time.
What's your history? Let's go back to 1997 or thereabouts.
Sure.
Maybe you didn't play it right away. What's your history with this game?
99, probably. So the first time I saw GTA was at my friend Mitch's house. He lived a house away from me. And he had rented GTA London 1969.
Okay.
I think it was from Blockbuster.
Oh yeah.
And he was just running around just throwing Molotov cocktails at cars, shooting things with flamethrowers, and just getting into cars and running people over. Let's see here. I was probably 11 or 12 at the time, and it was the coolest thing ever. It was definitely something that I probably shouldn't have been playing, but it was super neat, and everything that you did was like all the gameplay was emergent. You could cause your own chaos. You could see how much trouble you could get into and see how you could weasel your way out of it. It's less about playing the actual game and playing with the systems, right? I think that's how GTA was for a lot of people. GTA 1 through 3 was kind of that I'm going to mess around in the world model. And maybe only progress the story if I needed to get more items or like get to unlocking something like, a tank in GTA 3 or like an airplane or something or different guns. Or you just find the codes and you punch in every code that you know and get every weapon that you want and just start causing mayhem on the streets. GTA 1 is an open world, top down, like extremely top down action game.
Yeah.
That takes place over the course of 6 levels. Progressing between the levels, you have a point total that you're trying to get to that you can get by either causing chaos in the streets or by completing missions throughout the world, which you usually get from like phone booths. Those levels, they take place in 3 different cities. These may sound familiar to most people because they are the main settings for a lot of the Grand Theft Auto games. There's Liberty City, which is based on New York, San Andreas, which is based on San Francisco, and Vice City, which is based on Miami.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that the original 3 cities in this game were Liberty City, San Andreas, and Vice City. I always just knew that that's where the later games took place. I didn't know it all originated with the GTA.
It's crazy.
So what I was not actually a big fan of the game when I first played it. You talked about the top-down perspective, and I found it like super hard to do anything efficiently. I just couldn't control the vehicle the way I wanted to. I actually lost interest in this game almost immediately. The first time I got into a game that felt like what Grand Theft Auto is now was a game from a couple of years later called Driver.
Sure.
And that had the behind the car kind of open world. It had good physics on the vehicle. You could drive around and all that stuff. But Driver was, to me, that was the game that got me into what is essentially a GTA like now.
Right. Like you're still driving around the city. You're trying to do like sick jumps off of things.
Right. Exactly.
It had that better driving model.
Yeah.
But that's really all it was doing. Like you didn't have the on foot stuff in Driver, did you?
Nope, not the original Driver. I think maybe in like the second one, which then it became more of a GTA clone. I think as time went
started
on,
chasing that
as GTA changed its DNA around. But I really have to share the back cover quote with you.
Please do.
It reads like a poem. So this is directly from the back cover.
Mm-hmm.
Murder, road rage, pimping, bank raids, hijackings, armed robbery, extortion, adultery, smuggling, petty thievery, drug busts, police bribes, unlawful carnal knowledge, and double parking. That's it.
Beautiful.
That's the entirety of the back of the box quote. And then there was a separate quote from an outlet, which I think I hate this quote, but what do you get when you cross Legend of Zelda with Quentin Tarantino? You get Grand Theft Auto.
It's not completely wrong if you think of like Breath of the Wild.
I mean the old ones. That was from CNET Game Center.
Sure.
I don't know. I had to share those.
It's pretty things. It's pretty good.
That cover quote. I mean, if you don't know what you're in for.
Yeah.
Double parking? Unbelievable. This isn't for the children.
Did you ever in any of the GTA games just try to like adhere to the law. Like, oh, I'm gonna stop at every red light.
Yeah, I do it for like 10 minutes. This sucks.
And then you realize like the cops don't care if you're running red lights or not.
Yeah, I'm like watching people blow by me and like
just make sure I don't hit anything and I'm good.
They're passing me into oncoming traffic and like, no, excuse me, sir. You're supposed to be the law. Go ahead.
Sorry. So I think I want to get into the development of this a bit. This was originally a game that was called,
are you getting into like the actual development?
The actual development of
I have a couple like interesting tidbits about the game before we
Sure, yeah, let's do it.
So this one I have to share because I'm contractually obligated to. Featured in the book 1001 Video Games You Must Play Before You Die. I think that's like our fifth. Yeah. Our percentage.
This is maybe the first one that I agree with.
Yeah, that's.
I don't think Tomb Raider Underworld was one.
I know. Oof, that was. Bad.
What was?
We've had like another game 5 of these.
It's been
I think Crazy Climber might have been.
Yeah, I think that was one. Like if you're talking about like modern video games,
yeah,
I think the original Grand Theft Auto would fit in there.
Yeah,
and not only because it was, I mean, the beginning of this whole franchise. They stuck with this top-down structure for a while. They did.
Yeah, they did.
GTA 1. They did London 1961 and 1969, I believe.
Yep, they had 2 expansions. I think 69 came first, and then 61 was an expansion to 69.
Yeah,
weird.
Which is kind of confusing. I forgot that there were 2 of those.
Yeah.
And then GTA 2 was also top down. GTA 3, of course, was not. But I think you could actually switch the camera, so it was.
Ooh. Yeah, I think you're right, actually.
And then there was like Chinatown Wars, which was the DS game, I believe.
I don't remember what consoles it came out on specifically. I think it was handheld though.
It was handheld. Game Boy Advance. Anyways, it came out on like PSP. It came out on I think DS. But also using that the top down formula, which was super interesting to kind of like go back to that after GTA 3. I think Vice City had come out for before that. I think even like Liberty City Stories had come out. Yeah, but it's a tried and true formula for this series, and it works well for less powerful systems because you don't need to draw in like a whole like detailed skyline. Everything that's happening is happening within your view window. And it makes the city feel big, I think, having this view, because as you are walking past buildings, the buildings are in 3D. So like you do see like it looks like you're peering down like from a window from a building if that's where your camera's at.
Right.
Looking back, the camera is a little bit wonky in this game because the camera does react to like every building that you're going past. So if you're in a car, if you're moving faster, the car will, or the camera will start to zoom out. But also, if you're just driving slowly, the camera will start to react to every building that you're passing. So it'll like zoom out, zoom in, zoom out, zoom in. Gets to be really jittery. But it sounded like this game was kind of all through development, just hanging on by a thread to begin with.
Yeah. It's a couple of other real quick things. It was banned in Brazil and temporarily banned in Britain. The cover of the game was updated for later release. So I think we might have glossed over the publisher. Publisher for this game was BMG Interactive. But when
it had a few publishers though.
Well, BMG released yeah, you might be right. But Take-Two ended up buying BMG Interactive.
Yeah.
So when Take-Two bought BMG Interactive, they actually updated the cover art to something different. And there's it's kind of a cartoony font on the PlayStation cover over a tall building, and they actually used the tall building. They said it was meant to mimic the Trump Tower in New York.
Sure.
And I was like, whatever. But the original
Different
cover art
time.
was pretty boring.
Yeah.
So the upgraded cover was probably the right move. It is one of the games that are featured on the PlayStation Classic console, which I could not confirm because I did not buy that. But
give me 1 second, I can confirm
what I read. Okay, perfect. John's gonna check it out. I think John was actually going to mention this as well, but the game originally was it had a different name. The name was called Race and Chase.
Yeah,
and I just think to myself, can you imagine a world where all of us are sitting here eagerly anticipating the release of Race and Chase 6? Be like, they did the right thing changing the name of that game.
Well, so the reason why they changed it was this game was originally a cops and robbers game.
Yes,
you were playing both sides of the law. So you were doing the racing as the criminals, and you were doing the chasing as the cops. While they were developing the game, they realized that playing as the cop wasn't as fun. There's something about it that just wasn't working. They took that part out and just kept the criminal element and like doing all of the, I don't know, just running people over, racing, running red lights. All the crime stuff was super, super fun. And being able to do that in a sandbox was what they found to be the best way to go about building this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the only other detail that I have as it relates to the game was the popularity spike that it received from being so controversial. It was hyper politicized due to the nature of the game. This was also at a time when video games were already under fire ever since, Mortal Kombat and all that stuff existed. Yeah. I mean, so this game became extremely popular because of the negative publicity it received just from various news sources and whatnot. So,
obviously not to the same extent as later releases of this series would kind of get. Like, it kind of snowballed after GTA 1. But I remember when I was playing like the expansions to this with my friend, even by then there had been like, oh, this game was banned. Like they're not selling this thing anymore.
Yeah.
There was like word about that. And I don't know if that was true at the time. It could have just been pulled from shelves in different parts of the world, and word got over to us that that's the way it was. But also, that was the first time I had seen this game. So
yeah,
I don't know if I wouldn't have known at the time how true or not true that was. But yeah, that was really just the start of a storied history between Rockstar Games and having controversy surrounded them, depending on the content that's in the game.
Yeah, so. Which they welcome with open arms.
Totally,
because they know how to manipulate that and market it. So
yeah, I was reading an interview earlier today, not from earlier today, but I was reading one today. Where one of the developers was saying that they weren't aiming to be controversial with this game. They were just kind of sticking with what they thought was fun, and trying to make a good game, a good fun game that ended up like technically working. Because like I said, it did have a troubled development history. So they were just trying to get something out the door that was fun and that actually worked. So that was like the last thing on their mind. Like, oh, we're going to push this thing as like this big controversial. Like they weren't trying to make it a big like killing simulator type of game, but
yeah,
that's how part of the world saw it, and yeah.
But that's all I have. If you want to dive into the troubled development history and all that stuff.
Yeah. So this game, like you were saying earlier, was originally known as a project called Race and Chase. And it was headed, or it wasn't headed up, but a lot of the people on the team were newer to DMA. So like there were quite a few projects going on at the same time. This was one of them. And they were kind of working with this sandboxy nature of it's a top down like criminals and police officers. Like I said before, they eventually got rid of the police element of you actually playing as the police and making the computer chase you as the police. Let's see. There were parts in like development where people are making the mission design for the games, but not having like stories attached to it. So they'd make like different missions that would take you from like one corner of the map to another, and like actually like technically finish it. But then after the fact, have to have somebody create the storyline to make someone like, oh, you have to steal this car to take it to this place to shoot these guys, and then you get on this bike to take it to somewhere else. And like trying to narratively shoehorn all this stuff together was kind of a trouble in development. Also, this game just never hit any of their milestones on time, like ever.
Always behind the.
It was always behind, which made it sound like this game was in development for like forever. But really, I think development for this was only about a year, like a little bit over a year.
Which one of the other back of the box things, and I was going to bring this up when you had mentioned it earlier, and it just slipped my mind. But maybe it's not back of the box. Yeah, it is back cover. It says over 200 missions throughout 6,000 city miles.
Sure.
That, I mean, and I didn't know how to compute that because I'm like, okay, what? I didn't know a good way to find out how many city miles are in like a city like New York. The best number I came up with was like 8,000 or something. That seems astronomical.
I'm sure if you count like, oh, this is a block. This is the size of our cars. This is our average mission has you driving from like point A to point B, or like point B to point C. Like how many miles are you actually driving within that?
Okay. Yeah.
If that makes sense, like technically the missions have you driving that much, but there's not that much square mileage in the city.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I was wondering levels. If it was 6,000 square miles or if they were, because that's insane. So, okay.
Unless you consider every map 1,000 square miles. Like a, I was gonna say a 10 by 10, but that doesn't work.
Yeah, I wish, I don't know. It's something about the way that was communicated was just like, I think that has to be blatantly false.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but sorry, you were, you had mentioned the idea that they wrap this up with, potentially in around a year, and then I thought back to that quote, and I'm like, there's just no way. Like that's too much. I don't know. You're obviously not doing 3D rendering on every building like they are in, the newer GTAs and stuff. It's still, I mean, you're still limited by the hardware that you're using.
It is a much different game, and like they didn't have things like cutscenes originally, or
true, yeah.
Like they were basically working with like text. Like everything's like either coming through on your beeper on like the top left corner, or if you answer a phone call on a payphone, like all that stuff is just at the bottom of the screen, like telling you where to go, and maybe a thing like a locator popping up on the map somewhere. It doesn't have the same level of storytelling that like GTA 3 and beyond had. Even GTA 2, they added different criminal factions that you're trying to like please, or like you have different reputation meters between like 3 different crime syndicates within whatever city that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff wasn't in here. So really you're working with like the cars, the weapons, and then the individual missions that you're picking up around the city. Everything's in a non-linear fashion, so you kind of pick things up wherever you are. So they didn't really have to worry about that. It's kind of just putting stuff in the game and hoping it works.
Yeah. The points that you acquire are also money. If you wanted to change the color of your car or do something like that, you would use your points, which then meant you would need to get more points to pass the mission and or to get out of that level and things like that. So, it was a solid foundation for what the direction that the franchise would take.
Mm-hmm.
But boy, as important of a game as this is, which I think it is amazingly important.
Yeah,
it is also incredibly difficult to go back and play.
Oh, totally.
So, and like
which
I said,
I can confirm it is on
then.
that PlayStation Classic.
Okay, good.
Yep. Yep. I found the original development timeline for this too. So development begins April 4th, 1995.
Okay.
This game was released in October 21st, 1997. So I was off. So it was about 2 years.
Two and a half, something like that. Yeah.
End of production was supposed to be July 1st, 1996.
Okay.
So they missed it by like a year.
Timeline, yeah.
And it was always kind of on the cutting block, like on the chopping block for cancellation. Like this game almost didn't happen. Like throughout the development, just because they kept on missing deadlines.
So that's one example of what could have been a near miss. There's another one that I'm gonna touch on. It's I don't know. I think it's less significant, but it's fun to pose the what if question. So
yeah,
you can keep going. I'll get to that at a later point.
Let's see here. Trying to think. While they were developing it, they wanted to do something cool with the music in the game. And I think I kind of remember this. But this game does actually have different radio stations that you can flip through when you're in cars.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of it's a staple for the GTA series as a whole. Yeah. Like one of my favorite things in any new GTA game would just be like, all right, let's see what stations are on here. Where's the talk radio one? I want to hear what like these random comedians that they got to like spew random stuff for 20 minutes. I want to see what that's like. What kind of songs did they license? In this game, they didn't have that money to license anything. So they made some of their own music. They had one guy who was covering let's see here. They had one guy that was covering like one specific or half of the music, and one dude who was covering like the other half. So one guy would take like rock, country, the more like I guess classic American music, and then the other person would take like hip hop, rap, electronic music, more like club music, I'd say. And they work through the music that way. I just think it's cool that they had that little nugget of an idea even back in the first GTA. Like even with everything else that's going on, like making it like a sandboxy crime game working this well in like 1997, but also adding on like this really innovative music delivery system for the game.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's the idea that this was in many people's eyes on the development team, this was a foundational thing. This was something that they desperately wanted to have play a role in this game. And again, it's blossomed, and it's something that's still present in GTA. To this day. It's been expanded upon. Some of the biggest
one
music.
Of its more iconic features, like
when
Vice City came out, everyone's like, oh, they got like literally every 80s song that you'd want.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's super cool.
The soundtracks of these games have been insane, and it all started with them being like, no, we will not budge on this. We want this. We want these radio stations.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else about the development? I have some stuff about the developer.
Go for it.
Okay. So DMA Design, yes, now known as Rockstar North. So that's
true.
when you think back to it, Grand Theft Auto was not created by Rockstar. It is not a Rockstar developed game. It is developed by DMA Design. That was founded in Dundee, Scotland, in 1988. I also thought that was an American company, so I learned that as well. DMA was DMA was sold to Gremlin Interactive. And I do believe this is the same Gremlin that was responsible for publishing Trailblazer from episode 19 of
probably
Procedurally Generated.
It's really like the same stomping grounds.
Yeah, exactly. So and then Gremlin was acquired by Infogrames, which we've covered before on the show.
Yes.
Infogrames planned to sell DMA Design right away, right off the bat. So in September of 1999, they were acquired by Take-Two Interactive for $11 million, continued creating games under the Rockstar label until 2002 when they became Rockstar North. So Grand Theft Auto could have been an Infogrames. Yeah. Is it Grames or Grams?
I don't know.
Well, we would know if they would have kept Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah,
we would know how to say their name because we would be hearing about them all over the place. Instead, Take-Two was responsible for purchasing both DMA Design, the developer, and the publisher. They actually bought the publisher first, BMG Interactive, in 1998. So, and now Take-Two is arguably one of the biggest video game publishers in the world. Take-Two Interactive is, it's a lot of Borderlands. Money. It's
2K.
Yeah, 2K. It's
BioShock.
All of the Grand Theft Auto stuff, Red Dead Redemption. So yeah, I mean, it's huge. What we see with that is potentially a cultural shift in the entire industry by Take-Two purchasing DMA Design in 1999 for $11 million.
Yep.
Its significance is astounding. And sucks to be Infogrames, who I don't think they're not around anymore. But prior to them becoming Rockstar North, DMA Design released Lemmings.
Yes. Which is I never knew.
I didn't either. No,
I never knew that those franchises were linked in any way.
GTA and Lemmings are made by the same developer. Also, a game that I adored growing up, Uniracers.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I loved Uniracers. I used to play it all the time.
Speaking of like cool pseudo 3D things on the Super Nintendo, like Uniracers was definitely there.
Yeah, that game was awesome. And then obviously Grand Theft Auto 2. After the switch to Rockstar North,
Body Harvest as well.
Body Harvest was on there too. Yes. After the switch to Rockstar North, these are just a few of the small games that they've put out. Grand Theft Auto 3, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, Manhunt, not to be confused with Mickey's Racing Adventure, as John.
Or with Spy Hunter.
Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, Grand Theft Auto 4, Red Dead Redemption, LA Noire, Max Payne 3, Grand Theft Auto 5, Red Dead Redemption 2. Just amazing video games across the board.
Not Agent.
Yeah, that's right. There's still rumors about that game. I think
like yes and no. Like
they update the rumor once a month or once a year. Be like, no,
it'll be like, oh, did they keep the trademark for it or whatever? Like that. If they do or don't, then usually there's news about it. One game I really want to point out that's one of my favorites from the N64 is Space Station Silicon Valley. Did you ever play that, Chris?
I never did, but I saw for a while there. I felt like I always saw the lady from the game. I don't know if she's the protagonist or what, but I feel like she was in advertising materials. She was almost a mascot for the system for a while. I think I'm thinking of the right game.
So this game is like you're a little robot and you're climbing into different animals, and you're solving puzzles and like getting through levels while like inhabiting these different robot animals.
Okay.
I don't know if we're talking about the same game, but
we might not be. I might have maybe conflating it with something
It's a really
else.
cool, like 3D platformer puzzle game.
I think
that
I'm
DMA
definitely thinking of the wrong game. Based on the first couple images I've seen.
Thinking of Mischief Makers.
No, I don't think that's it. What is it? Well, now that's going to bother me. What the hell am I thinking of?
Body Harvest.
Oh, man, I don't know.
Anyways, sorry to throw you off there, but
there may be no recovering for me.
That's that was one of my favorite games that DMA Design had created, and it was around the same time that they made. Actually, this was in '98, so it was a year after Grand Theft Auto had originally released. And their name was kind of on the rise, at least in the US at the time. Yeah, I didn't mean to toss you off your DMA Design game.
No, you are good. That's all that I had. Okay. Really, just kind of again giving credit to Rockstar originally existing as DMA, and just how significant that acquisition was by Take-Two. I mean, literally changed the landscape of the industry.
Yes.
From that point going forward, I am desperately trying to find a screenshot of the lady I'm thinking of to try to to try to figure out what that was, what I was thinking of. It's not working. So, all right.
And
anyways,
there's so much about the development of this game that we can't really get into today, just because it would take way too long. But Grand Theft Auto, as it started, was kind of a happy accident. And I think that's kind of cool that one of the biggest franchises today kind of started off that way. It was kind of a hushed release that was mired in a little bit in controversy, which helped it grow its reputation, at least for me as a tween. It felt like I was doing something I shouldn't be doing, and that was awesome at the time. And the game was a lot of fun. But I'm glad that they were able to capitalize on that and evolve the series in a smart way. Like GTA 3 is a big turning point for games, a huge turning point for games.
Yeah, I mean, to this day, I still think that's how you act in normal life. You know, you need a car, you just go take somebody else's.
Punch people.
Yeah,
take some pills.
You guys don't just do that day to day. No.
Turn on the no gravity code and take a tank and
things get
shoot it at the
weird.
ground a bunch so you fly. You know, normal things.
Right.
But like if you look at open world games now, they're still copying nuggets of GTA 3. Which obviously got its start here. I definitely think that going back to the original PlayStation games or PlayStation and DOS games, are a good thing to do. I think you can get this and GTA 2 for free online through Rockstar.
Well, I actually tried to do that.
I did too. I downloaded the files.
Oh, you did? Okay. I couldn't even find where they were.
Yeah. It's some sort of Rockstar's Players Club or something.
Oh.
I don't know. I think you kind of have to get lucky. I tried looking on Steam. It's there, but you can't buy it.
Yeah, that was weird too. I found the page for it, but it didn't give me an option to purchase it. So
yeah, but if you can get your hands on like a PlayStation 1 Classic, or you can find it on I think I saw it on eBay used for like $40. The game is still available to get. Yeah,
I mean, if you've never played it, which actually it'd be fun if you've never played it, because you would get to see, if you play the current Grand Theft Autos, you'd get to kind of see the very grassroots beginning of this game. And I think it'd be a lot of fun if you've never had any experience with it to just be like, oh wow,
yeah, and you're like, oh, this was in here way back then.
Yeah,
like that's crazy.
Yeah. Should we wrap up Grand Theft Auto? Anything else you got?
Sure. Yeah, I don't have anything pressing with it, but if anybody has any stories about Grand Theft Auto, about the first times that you played it, or if there's anything important that we missed about the development, please let us know.
Yeah.
We could talk about that next week as well.
Absolutely.
Like I said, this game is just so huge that we are going to miss things with it. And there's not enough time to cover absolutely everything about it.
Right.
So, let us know through email, through Twitter, on Patreon, whatever.
Yeah, and that obviously stands for every game we cover. Obviously, we call out this one specific because there's so much information.
Just so big.
But if we, if we miss on something or you'd like to hear more about something, by all means, let us know.
Yep.
So let's move into game number 3. I'm not even going to give it any qualifiers. We're just going to go right into it.
Yeah, sure.
Strangely enough, we're back talking about Infogrames. Developer and publisher. This is a first-person detective adventure game released in the year of 1987. I was 2.
I was just born.
Nice. Welcome to the world. You get to play a game called The Sydney Affair.
I love The Sydney Affair. Like Sydney, Australia?
Nope, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I don't think so. I would love to tell you definitively, but you're going to find out why in just a second. This game was released on the Amstrad CPC, Commodore 64, MSX, Thomson MO, Thomson TO. I don't know what those are. And the ZX Spectrum.
Consoles.
They are
consoles. Like home computers.
I think that's the first time I've seen any reference to
those were ones that I think we went through the list of consoles and we're like, we don't need these. We did that with a few of those PC. It's probably something that started in like 1982. We're like, that's too early.
Yeah.
Too early for us.
Now, I don't know anything about this game. I'd never heard of it before.
Me either.
I'm going to do my best right now.
Sure.
So
I'll try to fill in blanks.
Yeah.
If I have any.
I think that might be the approach. That way you can look like the smart guy and I will gladly look like the idiot. Because this game, there's not a lot to find on it. And the entire thing is in French.
It's not.
It's not in French? You found English?
There are English versions
of this? Everywhere I looked, everything was in French. Okay.
I watched a gameplay, like a full gameplay of it in English.
I did find it weird that everything I found was French except the manual, which was in English.
So I saw that you were finding like French stuff. I'm like, oh, cool. We have another like beefy roll game type game. And
then John did his due diligence and found an English
the ZX Spectrum version. I will post this playthrough in the Discord.
Yes, do that. That's fantastic. I did get to learn a little bit about the game without actually watching the game. But so you are a detective who has proven himself in the past and is now tasked with solving a new case titled The Sydney Affair. I believe the game opens with the victim being alive for a little bit and then
split
shot
second
right in the melon.
Yes.
Your job as the detective is to solve the case. Who done it?
So really quickly, this is a sequel to a game called The Veracruz Affair, which I think is the Veracruz might have been the person who passed in the first game.
Yeah, it might be
I'm guessing
the case that got you to prove yourself in the past.
That is actually it. Yes. And so in this one, the name of the person who was shot is named Mr. James Sidney. Thus, it is the Sydney Affair.
L'affaire Sydney.
L'affaire Sydney. Perfect. You
French.
nailed it.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little bit excited that it was all in French. I was going to see how much I retained from high school, but
you had French in high school?
I got spoiled by this. I did 4 years, 3, and then a year of sleeping.
Like you do.
I think it's the only class I failed in high school because I slept the whole year. Anyways, that senior slide. So yeah, you're tasked with going to the crime scene and searching for clues. You're given a little magnifying glass and you're searching like pixel by pixel where different clues might be on the screen. So you're checking like the body for any identification. You're looking for bullet holes in the wall. and really you're just like, it's like a grid that you're like moving this magnifying glass around on, and just finding different clues to help solve this mystery. Now, the difference between this game and the previous game is you're given 2 locations that you can look. So you're looking on street level, where the victim is, and then you're given access to the apartment where the shooter shot the man from. And you look for different clues there. Chris, what happens after that?
French stuff.
Okay. So you move into kind of a text adventure situation. It says that you work with a telex machine to gain information about possible suspects, not subjects. But you're typing in if you want to get statements from people, it'll ask you like who you want the statement from and where to find them. So you kind of like piece together through these like blocks of text and like statements from people, where they were, who they are, how they're related to other characters. And you kind of just start piecing together like, okay, I want a statement from this person, because this other person had mentioned them and where they might be. So you're kind of piecing together statements from reading other people's statements. And I think the game will just, it doesn't really tell you if you found something. You kind of have to be paying attention. It's an old game. It's not gonna spell it out for you. It's not exactly like, it's almost like a proto Phoenix Wright, because what you are trying to do is arrest the correct person at the end of the day. But as you're going through and getting these statements, you'll get a statement from one character. They'll tell you about another character. You'll talk to that character. You can go back to that previous character with new information to press them on whether what they were saying was the truth or if they were withholding anything. And they kind of react differently that second time that you go to talk to them. So there's got to be something in the logic of the game that's like, okay, you've done this, then went back to this, and then moving forward to this next character, to get new information and new statements.
I would love to have a dialogue with you about this, but the version that I found was in French. The explanation that I found, I did find, like I said, I found a manual in English, which kind of explained how to get the game running. And some other things. But this is probably the least amount of information that I've found on a game. So I'm so glad that you found an English version to speak a little bit more to this, because I honestly thought we were going to come into this and be like, I don't know what to say about this game.
What is this?
So,
but yeah, it is kind of like a proto Phoenix Wright. Like, you are trying to figure out the crime. Like, you're not a defense attorney or anything. But you are getting information on the case and trying to piece things together properly and arresting the right person. So, but everything that you're doing is, after you gather all that information from the crime scene, everything's within like a text box. So it's kind of hard to navigate, and it's a little bit finicky with you typing in specific things. Because at the end of this playthrough, I saw the person type in like the suspect's name 4 different ways, and it wouldn't take it until they did it like last name, comma, first name.
Oh, okay.
Like very specifically like that. So, yeah. I mean, there's nothing much else about how the game plays than that. You are just kind of going through and gathering statements and accusing people. And like I said before, this was a sequel to the Veracruz affair. It was actually, while Infogrames was the dev and publisher on the box, these were created by a man named Giles Blancon. Probably need to put a little bit more accent on that. But those were the only 2 games that he had made outside of a strip poker game. where you're playing strip poker with a lady named Marilyn. And yeah.
Gonna have to get my hands on his early work.
It's, yep.
Yeah.
Some very crude, lewd pictures in strip poker.
Perfect.
By crude, I mean it looks like a third grader drew it. Just very, very basic anatomy, drawings of anatomy.
Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect. Well, we'll hope that game comes up on the list. I guess it's also worth mentioning. Now, we did obviously just talk about infograms a little bit with Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
But granted,
I feel like we talk about them at least once a month.
Yeah. But this is only the second time we've actually had a game developed by infograms. The first one being Test Drive Le Mans, which we covered several episodes ago now. I usually write down which episode, but I didn't this time. So
that was early. That was like episode 6 or something.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
9. Yeah.
So this should surprise nobody. That's all I have on the Sydney affair.
Yeah, there really wasn't much, especially when it was developed by one person. There's 2 games in the series.
And your co-host only found the French version of the game.
And you only found the French version. But that's why there's 2 of us.
That's
right.
And
we're really good at catching each other. So
we are. It's uncanny, our ability to do that.
Yes.
John.
Uh-huh.
Let's rank these mothers.
Sure.
Who's up?
I think it's me. It's me this time.
Perfect. John, Chris, what's your number 3 for the week?
Number 3. I'm going to go with the Sydney affair
as
my number 3 game. Yeah, that's all I learned was how to count to 3 and how to say the S word. There's a whole book of bad phrases that my French teacher introduced us to. It was great.
Perfect.
Yeah, we didn't necessarily we learned conversational French. Not anyways, number 3 is the Sydney affair. I feel like it'd be really hard to play these days. Also, I know who the killer is, so that has ruined the experience for me a little bit.
Makes you a better detective if you know who it is.
It does. In, so. But it's cool to see what an early detective game looks like. And it looks pretty involved actually. For being able to take like notes or having to take actual notes and pay attention to very specific things from testimonies. So while I think it's cool to see that history, I do not really want to play the Sydney affair. So that is my number 3 game for this week. Chris, number 3.
Yeah, this it's the Sydney affair. Yes. It's the Sydney affair, and it's especially the French version of the Sydney affair.
You don't want to learn French, Chris?
No. I even if I had a playable version of this game, nope. I can't. Nope. I can't go back and play this. Especially weirdly coming off of playing Disco Elysium, like.
Oh sure.
Like I don't know.
That's a very different detective game.
If I'm going to be a detective, I'm going to be a bad alcoholic detective with sick facial hair. Like, no, I
mean, you played the role in real life.
I
for
did,
a while,
yeah.
For like a week.
Felt natural, felt normal. It's weird now. Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not all the time. Time.
Wrap a scarf around your face.
Yeah, especially it's 35 degrees again, so it's.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, I'm not playing the Sydney affair. That is my number 3 for the week. John, what's your number 2?
My number 2 this week is going to be. It's actually a little bit tough. I mean, it's going to have to be Mickey's Racing Adventure. I think is my number 2. The reason why I thought about putting it at number 1 was because it is a game that I never touched by Rare, who has made some games that I love, a lot of games that I love. And I want to see what their in-between phase of transitioning from like Diddy Kong Racing to like Banjo-Kazooie to like Conquer and whatever this Mickey's Speedway USA was. I wanted to see like what that Game Boy version of Rare was like. I never touched Conquer on Game Boy Color. And I'm interested in seeing like what all those animations look like, how the car handling feels, how the boat handling feels. It's a studio that takes a lot of care with its visuals, I think, or at least did back in the day, in that time frame, and watching some of watching like Goofy walk around in this game. Like, this is 1999, and it's not like Goof Troop Goofy. It looks like 1940s Goofy, like looks like a homeless dog, just like really lanky and walking around. And I want to see their interpretations of these characters a little bit more, even if they are mostly racing cars. Also, I like the puzzle element. I like that train game. I think that looks interesting. And I have a soft spot in my heart for like the Micro Machines type of racing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that is my number 2 this week. Chris?
My number 2 is Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, you did it.
I wasn't sure if that would be absolute blasphemy or what, but
totally not.
I had a hard time playing that game back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's I have zero interest in. I love the Grand Theft Auto series and what it's become. To me, it did not start strong.
Sure.
But it had to start. I think a lot of good ideas are there, obviously, because they've gone on to perfect them in some ways.
Yeah.
I think the game's fantastic, but the original, I think the series is fantastic. The original game, though, for me it's borderline unplayable. It's got some cool things, but when it comes down to like, what do I want to play? If I had these 3 games in front of me, what do I want to play first? It's not this one. I don't have I don't really want to play Grand Theft Auto. So,
yeah.
Not to detract anything from what it means to the industry or anything like that. But this first version, while it laid the groundwork, is not a fun play.
Sure. Cool.
Which leaves your number 1, John.
My number 1 is the number 1. The first Grand Theft Auto, the prototype. Yeah, I mean, this is just this is a pillar in the industry. It is the groundwork for all the open world stuff that we see today. While it probably doesn't play well anymore, it probably has like weird tank controls, which I
think it does.
Pretty sure it does,
which makes it even less endearing to me.
Yeah. But it's still fun to run around and cause mayhem. And I haven't played it in a long time, so I kind of want to experience that again. I feel like I would get more out of it than I would maybe playing something like a Mickey's Racing Adventure. Where Mickey's Racing Adventure, even just watching footage of it, makes me want to just go and play more Diddy Kong Racing. So, yeah, Chris is slowly dying on the other end of this camera.
I'll be right with you.
Yeah, that's usually my role. So yeah, Grand Theft Auto is absolutely my number 1. And it's actually, I forgot that it was on the PlayStation Classic, so that's a really good reason for me to hook that up again and boot up GTA and just to see what that game is like in 2021.
Perfect. I'm back.
Chris, yeah, you're alive
from the brink of death.
Perfect.
Holy smokes,
Chris, you've survived.
I did.
You've. I was really worried there for a second.
It's the gaming gods spiting me for putting Grand Theft Auto as my number 2.
Yeah. Yep. Really just grabbed a hold of your lungs and squeezed.
Yeah. Thank God for a mute button.
Dried
that would have
out
been
your
unpleasant for all of you.
Speaking of dry
involved.
throats, I need some water while you tell everyone what your number 1 choice of the week is.
My number 1 is Mickey's Racing Adventure. And John detailed one of the big reasons why this is my number 1. I'd never played it before. Which to me, that's a little extra exciting. Plus, I was a big fan of the isometric racing games. Like I said, Rock and Roll Racing, I think, was just fantastic. So much fun. I like the idea of the train minigame. The way you progress in the game, it seems like it's something. There's a good carrot to constantly be chasing. And I just
there's either money that you're collecting to boost your vehicles. There's different there's another collectible that you're collecting to unlock different parts of the world where you can unlock different characters and get to like 3 or 4 more tracks to race on. And there's like 25 tracks or something. Like there's quite a few things to do in this.
So if I were to sit down,
they get visually cool. Like,
I mean, if I were to sit down with this game versus Grand Theft Auto and just want to play it until I didn't want to play it anymore, I bet I'm almost positive I'm playing Mickey's Racing Adventure longer than I'm playing Grand Theft Auto. And I'm probably having a lot more fun. So but yeah, that's why Mickey's Racing Adventure is my number 1.
Cool.
So
excellent.
Well, guys, that wraps up episode number 22. 22 episodes we've done.
Yeah. It's been 2-2.
Yeah.
Some deuces.
That's right. The double deuce.
The double deuce. I think we have some folks to thank.
We do.
From the Patreons.
But before we do that, let's make sure that you guys have a chance to reach out if you'd like. Send us an email at pgshowinbox@gmail.com. Reach out to our Twitter at PG_show. You can jump into our Discord. Have a conversation with the rest of the community about the games we've covered. Random stuff not dedicated to the podcast. We'd love to have you. We also have our YouTube. This episode will be going up on there as well. Plenty of ways to get a hold of us. We have our individual Twitch channels. I'm still streaming full-time for at least the next month, I think. Who knows? Life is a mystery, but I'm at CW719, and John's also streaming when he has time.
When I have time, when I feel like it. It's whenever the urge comes to me.
Yep.
I mean, most nights I'm maybe somewhat busy with something, and it's always just bad timing. I really need to nail down a schedule of some sort. But yeah, you can find me on Twitch at John Carson Games. Also, you can find me on episodes 4 and 5 of Game Informer's Super Replay of Bloodborne. Those are up on YouTube. I think you can also watch them on Game Informer's Twitch channel. There's a possibility I'll be on other episodes. It's kind of on a week-to-week basis that we're figuring that out. But I am happy to come on whenever they invite me. So
yeah, absolutely. So if you guys do have some time, please check those out. Check out the entire Bloodborne series. But John specifically participated in 4 and 5. I missed episode 5. I didn't realize you did it until after you'd already done it.
Yeah, I wasn't sure until like an hour before. Reiner's like, "You want to come on today?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. I don't have anything going on." And then didn't want to blow up all the Discords that I was going to be on there. So, if I'm on there, those are on Fridays at like 2 p.m. Central. So.
Okay, perfect. But yes, now we will thank our patrons.
Great.
Let's do it like this. Here we go. So our first, we'll just roll through the list. Our platinum supporter, Mecha Sprite. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mecha.
Our gold supporter, X-Chin. Thank you. We have our silver supporters, Cassidy, Catherine, The Lone Wolf, Tim G, and Tori. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
And our bronze supporters, Ozzy, Brandon, Jason, John, and John. Thank you guys so much.
And remember, like I said near the beginning of the podcast, I have been giving the episode early to even the bronze members of our Patreon tiers. So anybody who supports at $3 or above is currently getting episodes of the podcast early. So.
But again, last call to action, guys. If you could take a couple minutes to leave a review, preferably a 5-star, that would be great. And maybe just kind of share your thoughts on what you think of the show. Again, we'd love to expand. One thing I actually checked it while we were recording because I noticed something earlier, but this week, hold on, let me refresh. Let me see real quick. This week is tied with our biggest week ever. So it's fantastic. We're up at 635 plays. But wow. It's just exciting to see the listens spike like that.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So, thank you. It means you guys are sharing the show. So you guys are talking about it. It's finding new listeners. So thank you. We greatly appreciate you guys taking the time to listen. Like I said, if you have anything that you think we missed or that we should have talked more about, or your thoughts on a game, your personal nostalgia for a game, by all means, write us and let us know. So, John, do you have anything else for the lovely people?
No, I just want everyone to have a great week. Stay safe. And do something for yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do it.
Do something nice for yourself. It's April. You deserve it.
Eat a whole tub of ice cream.
That's what I've been doing for like the last 2 months.
No, it's almost nice enough to exercise outside. So do it now while you have an excuse.
Yep.
At least in Minnesota.
It's snowing currently. Yeah. According to my watch, it is 32 degrees. It's snowing.
Yeah, so it's cold here. But if
ice cream time.
All of you warm climate listeners, you guys, we give you the okay. Anyways, you guys have a great week. We'll talk to you later.
See ya.